Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots. Bootlicker shills, desolate peasants, vassals, Latvians who are latent Latvians. I'm a useful idiot. Today I want to talk about Latvia. And Latvia is going to join the euro currency in January of 2014, having been a member of the Eurozone since 2004. And I realize this is kind of a special interest story, and only for the diehards, but it's an interesting little tidbit in itself, because once again it gives us an idea of how the elites work in the Eurozone and everywhere else. And the reason why I say that is because here we have Latvia joining the euro right in the middle of what appears to be a collapse of the euro currency across the Eurozone. And the fact that there's a whole bunch more bailouts coming up for the likes of Slovenia, Portugal, Spain, Italy, and continuing problems in Greece, Cyprus, and Ireland. And why Latvia would want to join now and contribute further to the bailouts of these upcoming countries is kind of a mystery. Kind of a mystery why they want to join a currency that appears to be in the middle of a collapse. But it makes a lot more sense when you realize that 53% of the Latvian people were against Latvia joining the euro currency. Only 22% supported it, yet the government and the elites of Latvia pushed it through anyway. So that is my message here. The fact is that there are advantages for the elites and the handlers and all the mucky mucks, the top levels of people in Latvia, and then the economic interests that those elites are protecting that make them go against the will of their people and join a failing system right in the midst of its failure. And it's also ironic because Brussels has used Latvia as a poster child of the success of their policies and the success of austerity. And I would hardly believe any suggestion that Latvia is a poster child for the success of these policies. Let's just look at the unemployment rate. The unemployment after the 2008 collapse in Latvia, the unemployment rose to 20.5%, one of the highest unemployment rates in Europe. And now Brussels is holding Latvia up as a poster child success because they've managed to get their unemployment rate down from 20.5% to 16% since 2008. It's hardly a miracle by any standards. But just like all the numbers are fudged all over the Eurozone, particularly here in the United States, they don't point out the fact that 7% of the people have just dropped off the rolls. 7% just dropped off the unemployment rolls. And 10% of the population has actually left the country. So that's a great way to get your unemployment rate down, but also a great way to hide continued deterioration. And certainly the economic collapse of 2008 hit Latvia very hard, 22% loss in their GDP, which is staggering. But the fact is, by 2010, they kind of turned things around, and now the economy is growing one of the better rates in the Eurozone, from 3 to 5% per year. But real output is still 10% below the peak, so they certainly haven't recovered per se. But it's also interesting to point out that they avoided the debt feedback collapse that we see all across the Eurozone because of public debt, because of the fact that they have low debt and high exports. And that's one reason why they can survive austerity. Public debt was only 17% of GDP in 2008. The rest of the Eurozone was upwards around 100%. So a very low public debt level. And then their exports make up 60% of their GDP. So even though they had a consumption and credit-driven bubble and real estate that was appreciating roughly about 5% a month, they were able to survive these hits because of the fact that they had low public debt and an economy based on exports. And it also helps that their system is insulated because of the fact that their population is only 2 million people. 2 million people, the least populous and least densely populated country in the Eurozone, of which 26% of that is Russian. So there's only about 1.5 million Latvians per se. And the country's already joined European Union in 2004. They're a member of the IMF and NATO and UN and the WTO, and they actually provided a handful of troops for UN peacekeeping missions, including over in Iraq, Bosnia-Herzegovina, those sort of areas. But like a lot of the other countries in that region, they don't necessarily have a standing army per se, as much as they have a military that can be assembled as needed. But another thing about Brussels holding up Latvia as a poster child that's ironic is that their severe material deprivation surged from 20% to 31% since 2008. So even though on paper the numbers look good, they're still wallowing in poverty, and they're among the poorest nations in Europe, along with Bulgaria. And as always, the working class has been hit the hardest. The affluent middle class has been protected because their mortgages are held in foreign currencies. And interesting fact as well that the Swedish banks own most of the banking system in Latvia, and that's probably another reason why we're finding Latvia joining the euro currency in order to enhance Swedish banks' influence in the Latvian banking system. So there we have it, just a little glimpse of a strange event, the fact that countries still want to join the Eurozone in light of everything that's going on there. Pretty much boggles the mind. But like I say, when you look at the details, you look at these elites, there's plenty in it for them, just as all the elites have both contributed and caused the crisis across the Eurozone, and then benefit from it. So there we have it. Like I say, a little special interest story, but still a little interesting glimpse into what goes on in the world. I'm a useful idiot. Don't you be one too. And remember, if I agreed with you, then we'd both be wrong.